So earlier in the year, I performed my first ever 15-minute set of stand-up at the Lincoln Gathering. Straight stand-up, straight jokes as me, not as a character. And I never actually told you how it went. It went well, it went really well. I was very, very nervous when I went on, but by the time I came off, I was so elated that I could run back on and do it again. Except that I, used all my material. I worked hard on that material too, on and off for weeks before the show. Adding ideas or lines to the document, fleshing them out or throwing them away. But the biggest changes to the set occurred on the way to Lincoln, in the car talking to Matt Hargreaves, who was in the driver's seat. I had printed out a couple of copies of what I thought were all the notes I would need, but we proceeded to change them even further, adding and removing whole sections, so that by the time I went to sleep that night in the bed and breakfast, it was a completely different thing to what it was on my computer. Stephen R. Covey, the author of the very famous book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, identifies behaviors that are important but do not seem urgent as quadrant 2 behaviors. And he says that if you can identify behaviors that are important to the long-term bettering of your life, but don't necessarily feel urgent at the time, you should go do them more. I have never lived a quadrant 2 lifestyle, which is why when I returned home from a successful visit to Lincoln, I put that piece of paper with the very important notes on it very safely in a big organized pile of stuff somewhere. This weekend is Summer in the City and I'm going to be performing 15 minutes of stand-up on the main stage. So I look at the file in my Google Drive for my set, and it doesn't really make any sense to me. I start to worry, but, it's okay. I can remember it. I can remember it. I can remember some of it. I can't remember every little thing, so I start asking around to see if anyone recorded it so I can see the recording, so I can transcribe it, maybe? I even tweet about it to see if anyone has footage. No joy on that front. So I start taking my room apart, looking in every pile of paper, in every box that I can find. And I'm freaking out and I'm sweating and my hands are clammy so they're sticking to the pieces of paper that I'm flicking through. And this sudden chill comes over me and I look up and I see this glowing Stephen R. Covey standing over me holding this. And he says, "Now, what are you going to do?" I'm gonna photocopy this? Yes. And I'm gonna transcribe it? Yes. And I'm gonna print and compile all my stand-up bits into a folder and properly label them? That's quadrant 2 living! Hail Jesus! And then he was gone. And the lights flickered a little bit, but everything turned back to normal. So I'm going to be performing on the main stage at Summer in the City this weekend, doing 15 minutes of stand-up. Come have a look. I'm also going to be hawking these gorgeous posters, which I've only printed 100 of, at the merch stand. Please grab one if you're there. And if you're working on comedy or anything right now, please back up.